Hey everyone, welcome to Christina Cakes It. I'm Christina and today I'm showing you how to make a pregnancy announcement cake. So surprise, I am so excited to announce that I am pregnant and we just found out, and my husband and I could not be happier about this. We wanted it for a long time and it did not come easy for us, and we just couldn't be more thrilled about growing our family. And right now, this is like very early, and by the time this episode airs, it's gonna be after the first trimester. And I know we're not supposed to really tell people until, you know, I think the rule is after the first trimester, but after I told my husband, he literally told the entire East Coast within like 12 hours. And so since everybody from his family knows that I'm expecting, I decided that I needed to tell my mom and my grandmother as well as the rest of my family. So there are so many different ways that people choose to tell their loved ones that they are having a baby. And for me, it seems so obvious that I was gonna tell my mom and my grandma with a cake. They're actually the only people that we get to tell in person because we don't have any family that lives close by. And this weekend we actually are taking a very long drive up there to tell them, and it's very sweet. My grandmother is 101 years old. She'll be 102 by the time this episode airs, and I just love her so much. She's literally my favorite person in the whole world. And I have thought about
right here.
My mom is probably the biggest fan of my channel, and I just thought doing this for her would be really special because this episode is always going to be there for her to watch. So yes, this is now probably my favorite episode I have ever done. And needless to say, we know that this child is going to have some amazing cakes coming in their future. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this vision of my pregnancy announcement cake. So what I want to do for this cake is I do want to put dried flowers like all over it. I've seen it, it looks really pretty, but I've never done it before. So I have purchased some edible flowers on Amazon. You do want to make sure they are edible, that they're food grade. And so I'm going to go ahead and first give this cake another coat of fresh frosting because we need the frosting to be fresh so that the flowers stick. And then I'm going to write my message on the top of the cake, and I'm going to show you guys a really cool trick to writing on cake so that it looks professional. So I'm just using American buttercream, just my basic frosting recipe. You can find it on my channel. My mom likes vanilla cake, and so that's what she's going to get. She also likes German chocolate, but I did not have the ingredients to make that quickly. So after my cake has some fresh frosting on it, I'm just gonna start sticking my dried flowers on the cake wherever I think they look pretty. So one of the reason I chose to do like a floral cake is my mom loves plants and loves to garden. And one of my memories when I was little was definitely like being out in the yard with my mom, and like she would be gardening and I would like be doing gymnastics like all over the lawn. I always remember that, and there were like always our little like cats around with us, so it's just like a good memory. And my grandmother's favorite color is purple, so I knew I wanted to have some purple in here. This looks so pretty and rustic, exactly what I wanted. And I might add, I don't know, like a little something else, but next I'm going to show you guys how I'm gonna write my message. So you can get messages on cakes in a few different ways. Like you could just paint directly on the cake with like gel food coloring and a little bit of vodka. You could cut out fondant letters, but I didn't want to freehand my message. So what I did is I basically found a font that I liked with the message I'm gonna use. So obviously I'm pregnant is what we're going for. And I just printed it off on a piece of paper. And what I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna trace over this with parchment paper. And I am taping this down because I don't want it to move. And when I was learning about how to do this, it actually really reminded me of the transfer buttercream method I did for my Boston Red Sox cake, because eventually we're gonna have to invert the image. And I learned this technique from Rachel's Enchanted Cakes channel. This came from her, this method. Obviously she was doing a different message. But from here on my parchment paper, I'm going to trace over my words in pencil. And this part is not going to touch the cake, so I'm not worried about that. Some people do put pencil on cakes. It's a little controversial, so I don't really do it, but this side is not going to touch the cake. So I'm just tracing it over. We're using our kindergarten tracing skills. So now that I have traced my message onto the front of the parchment paper, I'm actually going to turn it over. And this is why we had to trace it, because we want this to see through. So I have my message traced here. You can obviously see it in pencil. And I'm actually gonna turn this over because this is the part that's gonna go on the cake. So this is the part that needs the edible like marker, because this side is touching the cake. So now I'm using a Maricolor food coloring marker, just in black, and I'm actually gonna go over this. I'm gonna rub a little bit of shortening on my parchment paper, just so this will stick to the cake so it doesn't curl up. Now I'm just gonna place this in the center. Actually, I should probably find where I want the front to be. And I'm just gonna trace over this lightly in pencil again, just to help transfer that food coloring marker on the back. Like making those little indentations. And it should be worth mentioning that although I frosted the sides of my cake with like a fresh coat, this was not refrosted, and so it's been crusted. Like the top is crusted buttercream. You would not want to do like transferring a message on fresh buttercream, because it would be sticky and a mess and it would not work. So after I remove my message, I'm gonna trace over this with my edible food coloring marker. And again, I'm just using a Maricolor. And I am, if you guys can see, I'm steadying my elbow on my cake stand just because it gets a little tired, and this helps it be more steady. So I'm gonna let this crust again, and I'm gonna go over this to darken it up with my edible marker because it's a little bit too light right now. So I'm making the executive decision to switch to black gel food coloring that I'm painting on here. The food coloring marker works, but I just like this better because it's even darker. So basically you guys have seen two different ways that you can write on a cake, with the food coloring marker or by painting it. The key is that the message transferred. I did not want to freehand this. right, so my message looks great, and I'm just gonna add a few more flowers on the top. So I'm just gonna put a little fresh buttercream so that they'll stick. My cake is done and I love how it turned out, and I cannot wait to share this cake with my mom and my grandma. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make this cake and this technique of transferring a message onto a cake easily. And if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.